Hello, my name is Stuart Everson, and I have written pretty much everything on Rambling About. But at this point, I've decided to try something a little bit different. Decided to start doing a few video reviews just for a little bit of fun, something a bit different. Rambling's About is kind of my personal blog, and I just thought I would try something new. Videos are very popular at the moment. You're going to have to bear with me for a while I start doing these. I have done a bit of video editing before in my master's degree, but I was never that great at it. So it'll probably take me a while to get the hang of this, get used to using the software I'm using, and just putting it all together and making these actually, look quite good rather than the amateur efforts that I'm sure this first one shall be. But despite that, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to start off with reviewing Chappie, the latest film from Neil Blomkamp, who has just recently been announced to be directing a new Alien film coming up soon, and has previously worked on the very successful District 9 and the slightly less successful Elysium, which he himself has said he kind of mucked up. Chappie is set in the near future. I believe 2016 is the year that is mentioned, and in Johannesburg in South Africa, kind of Neil Blomkamp's general setting. And it's a Johannesburg which has been overrun with crime. It's struggling a bit, and to combat that, an arms company has started selling the police robots, robotic policemen essentially, who are helping them combat the crime and have done a pretty good job at the start of the film. They're lowering crime rates. And we are introduced to Devon, who is the creator of these robots. But for him, those robots aren't quite enough. He wants to go a step further and essentially wants to create artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, his plans to create artificial intelligence aren't really supported by the arms company. It's not really something they go in for, with Sigourney Weaver as their head of operations, and she's not 100% behind the idea. So he kind of has to do it on the sly behind everyone's backs, and unfortunately, while doing so, he is robbed by Die Antwoord, who are a rap group from South Africa who are in this film essentially playing themselves. And they end up stealing what will become Chappie, the robot he has taken, and whose artificial intelligence and who he is about to give artificial intelligence to. This leads to an interesting dynamic because when Chappie essentially comes into its program and begins to gain intelligence, it's essentially a baby. It doesn't have any memory of anything, it doesn't have any ability to communicate. And Devon's plan, you presume, is to raise this robot himself, to teach it himself, to figure out what it can teach him. But instead, it is raised by Die Antwoord, and instead of getting a kind of loving classical parent child relationship, it's essentially taught to be a gangster. This leads to quite a few funny scenes. There's a great scene where he goes out carjacking with Ninja, who is one half of Die Antwoord, and they go out and Ninja has convinced Chappie that these people have stolen the cars from him originally, and he affectionately calls Ninja Daddy, so he's chasing these people around demanding that they give Daddy's cars back. And that's really funny and it's really good fun. But there is also an issue that Die Antwoord are kind of unlikable. Yolandi, who is the female member of the group, isn't too bad. She kind of takes on the mother role for Chappie and does an alright job at it. It's kind of a bit saccharine, a bit sweet, but it's not too bad. But on the other hand, Ninja just comes across as a really horrible person. It's been said they're basically playing themselves, so I don't know if he's like that in real life. I wouldn't want to judge, having never met the man, but he's really hard to get sympathetic for, and it causes issues because he is the bad guy in this film, at least not the whole way through the film. That goes to Hugh Jackman, who I'll talk about in a second, but it's hard to get behind him when he is being portrayed as a good guy towards the end of the film because you've seen how horrible a person he is, and you don't really want to cheer for him. And it's also maybe an issue that comes to Chappie, not that he's a horrible person, but these films basically live or die on whether you like the central robot or creature or whatever, depending on the kind of film. And I'm a sucker for something cute. It's not a secret. Anyone who's read www.ramblingsabout.com will know how much I love Paddington, and the majority of that is because I wanted a Paddington. I want to live in a world where I can have a Paddington bear, basically. I don't want to live in a world where I can have a Chappie. Chappie, when he first kind of comes in, is this very childish, stupid, basically, robot, and it's just a bit annoying. It's very hard to get behind him. I think Simon Mayo described him as a robotic Jar Jar Binks, and while I wouldn't go that far, he is a little bit irritating. You do just want him to shut up sometimes. Uh, Despite that, there is some good in this film. Hugh Jackman is quite funny as the kind of competitor to Devon, who wants to replace Devon's robots with this Moose, his big armored gun-toting machine that is controlled by use of a helmet on your own head, which you can. It's kind of a classic army sci-fi robot. And he himself is a kind of religious man. He doesn't believe in artificial. He does not believe in artificial intelligence. It's kind of hard to do in a world where Chappie exists, but he doesn't believe it's a good thing. He's scared by artificial intelligence, kind of. And he also is rocking a very sweet mullet shorts combo, which makes him look ridiculous. It takes quite a lot to make Hugh Jackman look ridiculous. He's a good-looking chap, but yeah, he pulls it off in this. And he is essentially the big bad, but it's hard because there is these moments where his big robot and Chappie and that, it's not a spoiler to say, they eventually come head to head or engage in these big battles. And they don't sit incredibly well with the sweet saccharine moments I mentioned, with Chappie being taught, being read a book by old Andy while sitting in bed, and she's explaining what a black sheep is and how he's one. And there's just a little bit, it doesn't really feel like the film knows what it wants to be. The tone's not quite there. It's part action thriller with lots of swearing and these gangsters and all that. And it's part kind of family fun with Chappie, the lovable robot who's out doing learning about the world and what's right in the world and taking a good message out of it. And those tones don't sit well together, and it means the film ends up lacking something. I don't think it's a bad film. There's some good in it. I mean, Dev Patel continues to be a very likable on-screen character as Devon. Sigourney Weaver is very underused in her role as the heads of the arms corporation that builds Devon's robots. She's basically non-existent. She could have been anyone, but I mean, it's nice to see Sigourney Weaver on screen. It always is. But it isn't a great success for Neil Blomkamp, I don't think. It's not bad, but it's not District 9 levels. It's in the middle. It's a bit confused, it's a bit lost, and it's never quite hitting the ball out of the park. But it does suggest that he's maybe needs to kind of mix up this formula. He's stuck. It's very similar to District 9. He's done it a couple of times now, and I'll be very intrigued to see how his Alien film goes. If you listen to interviews with him, he's obviously a huge fan of the franchise, a great lover of the Alien films, but this doesn't ring like I can't imagine the man that made this film making a great Alien film, but that's not to say he can't. Of course, you might disagree. You can let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you have any strong opinions either way. You might agree. I don't know. Just let me know your opinion. And thank you very much for watching the first video on Ramblings About. I hope you enjoyed it. Give back any feedback on the video thing as well. See what you think about that. So thanks for watching. Bye.